You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
Hello and welcome back to the Scottish Football Zone. Today I'm joined by Ethan Barlow to talk about all the European action from across Scotland. And Ethan, it wasn't a great night in Europe for the Scots again.
No, it wasn't. And, arguably, factually, probably even worse a night than last week when Celtic got a point in Belgrade and Rangers obviously lost out at Ibrox. Tonight, not all three Scottish teams come away with nothing. I think Aberdeen can be really proud of their performance and resilience as well in their game against probably arguably the hardest opponent the three teams had to play on the night. Celtic, more of the same. Rangers, first half, more of the same. Second half, certainly an improvement, but they left themselves too much to do ultimately in another disappointing night, like you said.
Yeah, too little, too late for Rangers, but we'll get on to that. I think we'll start with the 5:45 kick-off. Celtic 0, Braga 2, and Ethan, overall it seemed really, really flat from Celtic, like you said, more of the same.
Yeah, it was, and I think Celtic are just lacking that sort of cutting edge in front of goal, the ability to get goals. I think people have spoke about the stat that they have less than half the goals they had at this point last season, and I think it shows. And when you take away players that contribute so much to goals and assists in a season, and then sort of try and bring players in late in the window to try and fit them in, and this can always happen. And Celtic haven't been playing fluid football for the majority of this season. In all honesty, I didn't think there was much between the two teams tonight. I thought Braga were a solid team, a solid European outfit that they came and imposed their style at Celtic Park. But I think Celtic had enough of the game to get a result on the night, and they just never. But credit to the Portuguese team, because it's a great result for them, and 6 points from 6, so a really good start for them.
Yeah, it seemed like Braga were happy to let Celtic have the ball because they knew when they got it, they could play through them, and they did quite a few times. Ethan, I think you told me that the Braga coach was a sort of student of Pep Guardiola, and you could definitely see that in some of their play.
Yeah, exactly that. His name's escaping me at the minute, but he was Pep Guardiola's assistant at Man City for 4 years, I believe, before getting the Braga job, and you certainly could see that at points in his Braga team. There was points in the first half especially where they would keep the ball for a period of 5 minutes and Celtic couldn't complete a pass within that. And in all honesty, I think before Braga took the lead through Ricardo Horta's brilliant strike, you've got to say, from range, but I think Kasper Schmeichel, I'll look at that as a mistake from him. One, he needs to do better. I think he needs to move quicker across to get to it. And I don't think he should be beaten by that goal. I think he had another poor display on the night. His passing wasn't great. He gave the ball away a few times, and he invited the pressure onto Celtic, which maybe led to that goal. Okay, it's a pop shot from the best part of 30 yards that's went in.
33 yards.
33 yards. Okay, well then, that's went in, and I think after that Braga just grew in confidence, and they were quite happy to keep the ball off Celtic, and they done that very well. And after struggling, I thought in the first maybe 15-20 minutes, Braga to break Celtic's press, Celtic started to gain the better of the two teams. They became really comfortable in the tie, and Celtic never really looked like getting back into it until the half time, where Brendan Rodgers makes a tactical change and personnel one as well at the break.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with you. I thought as soon as Braga kind of got that goal and got that lead, they looked so comfortable. This maybe sounds a bit disrespectful, but they looked like they were having a bit of fun, if you know what I mean. Just like knocking the ball about and, being so tidy with their play. The big man up top, his name's escaping me right now. He was really good at holding it up and getting runners off of him as well. It wasn't a great sort of first half for Celtic. They did make that tactical change and they did equalise through Kelechi Iheanacho. And I think we've got the second VAR howler in a row for the from UEFA. I haven't seen any other angles, Ethan. I don't know if you have, but it was ruled out for a handball. The only way I could see this, maybe their weird reasoning being that it maybe hit his shoulder, but I don't think it even hits his shoulder. I think it just bounced up and hits the side of the face.
Yeah, I thought to be quite honest with you, I was at the game and I had a perfect view of it, and at the time I didn't actually celebrate the goal because I thought it would hit his Kelechi Iheanacho's hand, and I thought because his hands were sort of flaring out, it was a terrible bit of play from Braga. It was their own free kick. I think it was Florian Grilic that played a hospital ball in between the two defenders. Kelechi Iheanacho does really well to put pressure on, and it falls for him, and then he finishes really well. But right away, pretty much the officials deemed it a handball, and that's what I thought at the time. But seeing the clips, it does look like it doesn't hit his hand, although I have seen one sort of really slowed down version that does look like it hits his hand. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. Let me see, I've got it here actually. I'll send it to you now so you can see it as well. And it's one of those ones where if you see this and they've given handball on the pitch, I can see why they've not sort of overturned it. Maybe if they had given the goal, then maybe they don't give handball sort of thing. But I think no matter how much it hits his hand, it is like the smallest like bit of contact on his arm. But I think it does look like it touches at the tiniest bit. Can you see it? Are you watching it?
Yeah, that's really tough to tell.
Yeah,
It's like a bird's eye view of that angle. Oh, it's that thing where we always talk about looking for reasons to sort of maybe give players red cards or bookings. And I feel like we always say you should try and keep 11 men on the pitch. You should always try and get more goals in the game as well. And I think, if it properly struck his arm and we can all tell, then fine. But I don't know what kind of magnifying glass the guys in the VAR room had there to see that, because, yeah, that's inconclusive to me, and I don't think you can rule out a goal and potentially a way back into the game for Celtic, because after that they didn't do anything either. They had maybe a couple of decent spells, but no clear-cut opportunities I can think of off the top of my head. And, that could have been the way back in, and that seems like it deflated them, and eventually they went Braga, doubled their lead. So, yeah, it was crucial call in the game. And for me, if it's that inconclusive, I don't think they should have ruled it out.
No, I agree. It's just the one that I think because they maybe gave it on the pitch, and they'll probably argue that it's not conclusive, that it's not a handball when they've given it on the pitch, if you sort of know what I mean. But I completely agree with your point. We shouldn't be chopping off goals for stuff like that, because at the end of the day, how much of a difference does the touch, if it does touch Kelechi Iheanacho's arm, make to the play? At the end of the day, I think if it touches his arm the slightest bit, maybe it did or it doesn't, then I think he's still going to bring the ball down and score like he did. Obviously, that doesn't really matter, but I think it was really harsh, and maybe the game is a completely different story if Celtic get that goal. They did dominate most of the half possession-wise, but of course Braga didn't need the ball. They were quite happy with a lead, and you've seen that in the first half. They, as you mentioned, they were keeping the ball for, I would say, more keeping the ball sake, keeping the ball off the opposition, tiring Celtic, and that's ultimately, I think, how they get their second goal, because Celtic are throwing everything at it. It was it kind of started with a back five, but then it was just a sort of isolated back three. and you could see that Braga had the fresh legs when they brought on the substitutes, and then they obviously get that second goal, which finishes the game for themselves and Celtic.
Yeah, a bit of a stramash at the back there for Celtic. Schmeichel makes a good save, and it comes back out, and it was more of the player scored with more of a tackle than anything else, but that definitely kills off the game, and Celtic Park gets even flatter, even more toxic. The fans start to leave. There was boos at half time as well. I don't know what that was like in the ground, Ethan, but I can certainly hear it on the telly. What? First of all, we'll get your perspective before we talk about sort of the final kind of goal. What was the atmosphere like in the ground tonight?
I think it was quite flat by Celtic European standards, and I think that's to be expected. I don't know if you can maybe contribute that to the kick-off time, but I dare say if Celtic were in the Champions League and it was a 5:45 kick-off, then there would be almost 60,000 in the ground, making the same noise they usually do. So, yeah, I think Celtic being in the Europa League, that's obviously not where they wanted to be. They have to work with that now. Brendan Rodgers has to work with that. The players need to work with that. But it was flat by Celtic standards. The second half was better because Celtic were on the front foot and were creating a few chances outside of the goal. The Czech Republic keeper, what's his name? I've got it here. Hornacek made a few decent saves. A Kieran Tierney header, Sebastian Tenekte strike, who I thought was really good again. He always positive and trying to beat his man, and I think that's why Brendan Rodgers kept him on despite being tired and losing his man probably for Braga's second goal, which, as you said, was a little bit unfortunate. But when your luck's not going for you, and I don't think it is for Celtic at the minute, but I don't think they really deserved to win the match. And when you look at it where they were last season in the Champions League phase, and even as recent as February, competing with Bayern Munich to losing to the fourth best team in Portugal, quite comfortably in the scoreline wise, it is a dramatic regression, and it shows probably why the Celtic fans are so unhappy with the Celtic board, and those chants came out certainly again after the second goal went in. And yeah, I think it is. I think most people sort of seen this coming. When you sort of let players go and don't replace them, Nicholas Kuhn, i.e., then you open yourself up to stuff like this happening. But the performance on the pitch from Celtic wasn't good enough tonight, and it hasn't been for most of the season, which is probably the concerning fact for most Celtic fans.
Yeah, see, just in terms of like the crowd, and there was a moment in the second half, I think, when Celtic win a throw-in. I think this kind of just sums up the night. And Sebastian Tenekte, I'm still getting around pronouncing that properly. Yeah. He starts hyping up the crowd, and the crowd are getting hyped, and then Paulo Bernardo instantly throws a foul throw. Yeah. And then it's just, it seems like the air's just sucked right out of the stadium again. And that really, really disappointing. I saw a report the other day that said, Brendan Rodgers is likely to leave at the end of the season. Apparently, he was in contract negotiations during the last month, just after the transfer window. But apparently, they collapsed because of the lack of investment in the summer window. And maybe this is purely speculative, but maybe Brendan Rodgers was asking for more promises, or I don't know, maybe ask for something in writing that he would get a specific amount, and contract talks have sort of collapsed there. I think his time is sort of coming to a natural end due to sort of degrading relationships within the club, which is unfortunate, Ethan, because he's a hell of a manager.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably, I think, one of the best Celtic managers of all time, and I don't think that's controversial to say with the trophy success. And you could point that towards obviously where Rangers have been over the best part of what?
You can only beat what's in front
No,
of you.
exactly. No, exactly. Of course, that would be exactly my point, and I was just counteracting. I know some people would make that point, but I think he's put in a really difficult place with the squad, and I don't, and I know some people think that okay, the tactics weren't good enough tonight and stuff like that, but he can only use what's in front of him, and I think if you compared the Celtic squad of this season to last season and said there was any comparison quality-wise, then you would just be lying. And it's only natural that when you, as I mentioned, you try and sign all these players at the last minute of the window. Your Kelechi Iheanacho, and he was after the window as a free agent. Sebastian Tenekte, Mikael Ange-Balikwisha, who didn't come on tonight. Dyson Maeda's being forced out to the right wing. It's not. This is why the pre-season's a thing. So you get the players in, and they all get to know each other. You learn each other's styles. It seems like Celtic are still in the first few games of the season rather than 10, 15 games into the season. So I think Celtic will come good eventually this season. But I mean, Europa League, 2 games gone, no wins, 1 point. They've not got forever. The league phase campaign is a lot more forgiving than the previous group stage one, but Celtic do need to get that together. And I think the next fixture is one they should expect to win also against Sturm Graz, who we'll obviously get on to. But you can't take anything for given. You can't take anything for granted, with Celtic at the moment.
No, absolutely not. Both sort of Scotland's top teams are in that kind of scenario as well. Obviously, Rangers are much worse off than Celtic at the moment, but it is a really sort of poor thing to see for Scottish teams. And if we're looking at it realistically, Celtic and Rangers, at their best in Europe, probably should have won their opening 2 games, because Red Star were a decent side, but they weren't like anything like special. Braga were a decent side, weren't anything special. And as for Genk and Sturm Graz, the Rangers of even last season, I think, would have ran over the top of them, to be totally honest.
No, I would completely. Sorry to jump in. I would completely agree with you. I think if you look at both Celtic and Rangers of last season and Rangers of recent years gone past, you would expect Rangers to win both of those games. I think Genk looked, and I think a lot of people said that Rangers' performance wasn't the worst, just defensively very shaky, and it was probably the same again tonight. We'll get on to it, but in the second half, the Rangers had enough to get to win a match, I'll say. But when you shoot yourself in the foot with the 2 goals they concede, then it's always going to be a tall order, and it was. But I think we are seeing slight improvements here and there from Rangers game on game, which will encourage Russell Martin and maybe encourage Rangers fans slightly, but I could understand why it wouldn't. And I think you name the 4 teams: Red Star Belgrade, Sporting Braga, Sturm Graz, and Genk. They're teams that Celtic and Rangers should beat realistically, and we're talking about 1 point from 6, 1 point from 12. Sorry. Just not good enough, and hopefully both teams can find their form, because ultimately it's embarrassing for the clubs as individuals, but embarrassing for Scottish football as a whole.
Yeah, just to let you know, Paul, we are fully aware that Aberdeen was playing in Europe tonight. It was just a technical mishap on our part, so I apologise to you for that, but we will be discussing the Aberdeen game later in the show, so stick around for that one.
That's the bit we're looking forward to, because we're slightly proud, I would say. I know Aberdeen don't get anything on the night, but we'll get on to it. But I think that's a really respectable result.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so Celtic concede. We went off a bit of a tangent there. They concede that final goal, and that looks, and that was that 2-0 to Braga. Braga win their opening 2 games of the Europa League. Celtic sit on 1 point after their opening draw. Who do you Celtic play this weekend, Ethan? again?
Motherwell at Celtic Park on Sunday, where Jens Bertholascu said he will win and his team will win at Celtic Park. So that'll be a really interesting game that I'm looking forward to seeing how.
Well, yeah, Motherwell have finally broken their drawing streak, coming off the back of a 2-0 win to, well, the worst team in the league, but you know, they really needed to get that over the line, and yeah, it's and so sorry, I've lost my. I'm very bad at this.
It's
I'm
late.
always
It's
yeah,
late.
it is late. But yeah, so yeah, their first win going in, but going to Parkhead's always a challenge, no matter how bad or good Celtic are, no matter what state they're in. Going to Parkhead is always a challenge. We'll talk about the Aberdeen game more in depth, but just to keep it relevant, we've got a comment from Paul here. Was at the game and won the bus. Decent effort from Aberdeen tonight. We need to be putting in performances like that every week domestically. And I think you're absolutely right, mate, because the domestic showing has been shocking. Not scoring a single goal. What are we, like six or seven league games into the season?
Yeah.
And that's absolutely crazy, especially if you look at the attacking talent. I mean, one man who got on the score sheet, granted from the penalty spot tonight, and Jesper Karlsson, as well. Auchish, a lot has been made of him. A man who was an Aberdeen hero last season, and Kevin Nisbet. You know, they've got good attacking talent, and if they can, because going up against domestic teams, they won't have the quality that Shakhtar Donetsk have, and they won't be able to punish Aberdeen in the same way. So if they can finish the opportunities, I'm sure things will start looking up for the Dons.
Yeah, certainly would agree with that. And I think I mentioned it previously, this was a game that I didn't give Aberdeen a chance. Obviously, the recent performance.
I think I said 6-0.
I think I might have said 4-0. And to be fair, I don't think any Aberdeen fans could argue with that, with how they've played and how they've not looked. They've not looked like scoring, but they've obviously not scored in the league. And it was important, I think, that they got a really good performance tonight. And that's what it was, because Shakhtar Donetsk, there's no getting away from it. They're a Champions League quality team. 15 of the last 16 seasons, I think, they were in the Champions League. So for them to even be outside of the Champions League, never mind in the Conference League, is a big drop-off for them. They're leading the Ukrainian league. They sold their two best players for over 60 million euros in the summer, and brought in a few Brazilians, which I think a couple of them, certainly one of them, scored tonight. So, yeah, they're a really good team, a top 5-6 favourite to win the Conference League. And they turned up and really were made to work for the win at Pittodrie, and we haven't seen that from Aberdeen at all this season. They go ahead through a penalty that was a penalty. Jesper Karlsson does well. I think we'll just talk about this game now.
Yeah. Now that we're into
it. Jesper Karlsson, massive pressure on him, obviously coming from Bologna, and people talking about it being a great signing. Some Aberdeen fans I don't think, been too happy with him so far, because maybe they expect more. Massive pressure on him, how it's going at Aberdeen. Steps up, coolly puts it away, and then obviously you expect Shakhtar to come back into the game. We're under no illusion when I think we all seen Aberdeen went ahead, and then Yegor Nazarnya gets the equaliser. Dimitar Mitov maybe could do a bit better, but it's a good finish.
It was a wee bit of awkward goalkeeping there. Maybe we're putting a bit of a microscope on him after his poor display at Motherwell the other week. But yeah, Ethan, initially when I saw it, because I was watching the Rangers game, but initially when I saw the goal, I was like, oh, that was a bit weird from Mitov there, but decent finish.
Yeah, definitely. And then at the end, the second one, I think it's Topi Keskinen dropping his man because he's a winger and not a wing back ultimately. It's a good finish by Ferreira. Good header. Dimitar Mitov can't really do much and it's unfortunate, but Keskinen's just got to be a little bit more switched on. And then the third goal on the hour mark is just a bit of quality. If you've seen it, it's an absolutely great strike from Pedro Henrique. Goes in at the near post, but it just blasts past Steven Tarmitov. He doesn't really stand a chance with it. And at that point, when I seen the score went 3-1 on the hour mark, I thought, okay, this could be 5 or 6. But no, in the next 10 minutes, Aberdeen, resilient, fight back into the game. A brilliant bit of skill from Marko Lazatic. He scores an absolutely brilliant goal that hits off the bar. And then Nicky Devlin with the striker's instinct to finish the rebound. And then Aberdeen push for an equaliser. And I switched over to that. I was watching the second half of the Rangers game, but I did switch over to the Aberdeen game to watch the final corner, which Nelson headed by the post, unfortunately. But there was a really good reception from the Aberdeen fans for the performance, and that's something I've not seen, and they seemed really happy with what they had seen. And yeah, I would agree with the Aberdeen fans, and that's all it takes. And I think the players will be so confident going to play Dundee at the weekend, and I know maybe I'm overstating this a little bit, but the difference between, no offence to Stephen Pesley and his players, but a Dundee and a Shakhtar Donetsk is night and day. And if you can score 2 goals against Shakhtar Donetsk, then you can score 2 goals against any team in the Scottish Premiership, and that's the mentality that Jimmy Tilley and his players need to take into the Sunday and the rest of the league season, and I think it will turn around for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I just saw that Pedro Henrique goal. I don't think anyone would have stopped that. That was a thunderous strike. But just watching the highlights there, when Nicky Devlin scored, it looked like for the first time this kind of season, the Aberdeen, it felt like a sort of togetherness. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, we can get back into this. We've got something to hold on to. And you said earlier, Ethan, a sense of pride, although the result wasn't there in the end. I think they're the only team tonight that showed a bit of fight and showed a bit of aggression. I mean, Rangers played better in the second half, but, I think the first half performance is inexcusable. And Aberdeen the whole way backs to the wall against a team with a bigger budget than them, better players than them, a history of competing, I'd say, or playing at least regularly in the Champions League. They really showed a bit of bottle tonight, and hopefully they can build on this, because I quite like Jimmy Tilley, and I quite like sort of the squad they've got there. They've got a really good squad, and they should be confident going up against Dundee, although Dundee will make it difficult for them. Definitely, they're an organised team. I think it's time we start giving them a little bit of credit and not just writing them off every single week. They will make it difficult. They will cause problems. They're funny, Dundee, because they're not. You don't expect them to play like really good football, but they've got a couple of really talented individuals who can punish you. So it will be interesting, but hopefully for Aberdeen and Jimmy Tilley, with a bit of rhyming there, hopefully they can push on and get the victory at the weekend and kickstart their Premiership season, which they so desperately need. Do you want to move on to the Rangers game? Or...
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have time to sort of gloss over the other 2 games and the 3 games as a whole again. But yeah, I'm happy to move on to the Rangers game.
Yeah, okay. So Rangers travelled to Graz to play Sturm Graz in Austria, and it was a bit of a disaster. First half, Rangers conceded the first goal. His name's escaping me now. Hold on.
Horvat, is it?
Horvat, yeah. Yep. Horvat cut off the back of a Rangers throw-in, really shocking. The Tavernier throws it down the line. Chermiti gets beaten to the ball. It's just a straight ball back through. Souters was tucked in to sort of cover that, to sort of give Tavernier a short option. Tavernier doesn't take it. The ball comes back in. Maurice Malone gets in there, gives it to Horvat, and it's, I don't know if I'm being harsh on Jack Butland here. I feel like he maybe should be saving that. He might have been unsighted, but I still think he should be saving an effort like that because it was practically right at him.
Yeah, I would agree. I think when I seen it, I thought Jack Butland should maybe have what would you say, a stronger wrist with it. Maybe he would need there.
Yeah, like Schmeichel.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it would. But you would be being, well. I think you can make the point that Butland should do better. But I think the defending before that is calamitous from Rangers. So it should never really get into that position. And just the worst start in the opening 10 minutes and an away tie. And yeah, it kind of set the tone for the first half, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely did. Rangers were shocking at the back, giving up opportunities, as a common theme this season, just so open, so frustrating.
But yeah, and another thing I started seeing, I think I might have sent it to you. I think it was now 22 away matches on the bounce. Rangers have failed to keep a clean sheet, which is the longest run in the club's history. So yeah, that's quite a stat.
Yeah, I thought it was equaling a record. I didn't realise it was breaking it.
Oh no, maybe it is equal. I'll double check it now.
Anyway, it's either they're breaking the previous record set in 1897, or they've equaled the previous record set in 1897. So either way, it's not good reading for Rangers supporters. They were shocking tonight.
You're right. Sorry, equal.
They were absolutely shocking. Well, they might break it at the weekend against Falkirk, probably. But they were shocking again tonight. They flat going forward, similar to Celtic. Rangers couldn't get anything going. Chermiti was isolated. Oliver Antman did absolutely nothing. He was just running into bodies. The one bright spark again for the 90 minutes. This guy's a player, by the way. Every single week, Diego Gassama. He could, he twists and turns, and he's funny how both the sort of bright sparks and Rangers and Celtic are left wingers. Different though, I'd say Tanecki's a bit more technical, a bit more looking for the pass. Gassama is very technical, but he's looking to cut inside and get a shot off, and it comes off later in the game. But he was the bright spark tonight. The whole game. Taylor Asgard I thought was all right as well. Raskin again was decent. He definitely had a better second half. But yeah, then Rangers go behind double. Otar Kiteshvili, I'm going to go for.
Yeah.
And this, Ethan, is one of the worst sort of goals I've seen Rangers concede in my life, I think.
Yeah.
A straight pass on the ground, beating the whole Rangers high line, stupid high line. And, Russell Martin will get the blame for a lot of tonight. But at some point, the players need to take some responsibility, I think, for both the goals. And this is absolutely shocking. A nice finish, though, if you saw the replay from behind the goal. It sneaks in between Jack Butland's arm and leg, but he should have never been in that position.
Yeah, it's amateur hour from Rangers, and you just can't concede that goal at any level of professional football. A ball straight through the defensive line, right along the front of the defensive line. It's way too easy. And I think Connor Barron was marking him, but Jayden Magoma was the furthest man in that direction, so maybe he could have done better. But yeah, just terrible organisation from Rangers. Brilliant pass though from Horvat. Obviously up the score and set up the second one for Kitishvili, who I spoke to an Austrian football expert before the match, and he said that he's the league's best midfielder and can create goals out of nothing for his teammates. Obviously, he didn't create; he scored on this occasion. But yeah, I don't. I think the 2 goals that Rangers gave up were, the look back is really, really poor.
Yeah, really, really shocking defending. And yeah, Keith he was good. I thought Maurice Malone was quite good as well. And also Orvat, he had a good night. And their special special shout out to their goalkeeper as well, Christensen, because he made a few good saves, especially in the second half. Why are you laughing?
No, I don't know. He didn't fill me with a lot of confidence, Christensen. I've got to say, he did make a few good saves, I will say, but I think he might have done better with the goal, and yeah, he didn't fill me with a lot of confidence.
Okay,
but,
we'll
I
get
was just going to say their goalkeeper last year was the Austrian League goalkeeper of the year, Sherpin, picked up by Tony Bloom's USG.
Oh wow!
So yeah, that's the weird link that football's it's a small world and a small football world.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just mentioned that their Rangers score 49 minutes, 4 minutes into the second half. Did they make changes at half time, switching to sort of a back three? Well, it kind of looked like a 2 when Rangers were going forward with just Suter and Tavernier sitting, and then when Rangers were defending, Cornelius would drop back and Aarons would drop back, and they would kind of choose Cornelius, by the way, down the left-hand side. Where's he been this whole time? He was brilliant, and he does really well drawing the defender away on the overlapping run for Gassama to cut in and have a shot, which I mentioned earlier he loves to do. And Ethan, you're blaming Christensen for this one?
I don't know. I just think he can do a bit better. I know he's complaining at the defenders for not closing Gassama down. I notice he catches it really well, but it's at his front post. It's not right in the corner, but take nothing away from Gassama. As you said, he's the player that gets Rangers fans off their seat at the moment, the same as Tenecti is at Celtic. And they're 2 players that you just, I think, the players that you want to be growing up as a footballer. And yeah, they both, Tenecti could have had a goal tonight. It wasn't for a great save by the Braga goalkeeper, but on this occasion, Gassama obviously found the back of the net, and he started the move with a really flashy touch as well. So shows the confidence that he's playing with, and probably
but I don't know if you saw the replay of that, but it just kind of hit off his other calf.
I don't know. You don't see that. I just seen the touch. No, but yeah,
and he nearly touched it right to the defender.
I did see that, but take nothing away from him, as I said, and I think he's one of very few Rangers players that gets past marks, not just for tonight, but across the course of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's his 5th goal for Rangers, all of them coming in European competition, which he likes to play on the big stage. Although he is quite he's quite good in the league as well, heavily involved in the first goal at the weekend against Livingston. But from then on in, Ethan, I might even go as far as to say the second half might have been some of the best Rangers football / performance / determination / everything I've seen all season.
Yeah, I would agree, and that's how low the bar has been for Rangers under Russell Martin so far this season. That is the levels that we're getting to, and it was a good performance. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like blowing you away. But Rangers fans have had so little to feed off for months now, since Russell Martin came in, that this is encouragement. 10 shots on target on the night, that is quite a lot by Rangers standards this season, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, on another night, I think one of the chances is a little bit further in the corner, and Christensen doesn't get to it because he didn't convince me, to be honest, watching him few of the saves he made. Credit to him, he's got his team.
Well, the one near the end from Danilo was a great
No, the one,
reaction save.
yeah, no, that was. I'll give him his props on that. And to be fair, I didn't think Danilo. What did you think of Danilo coming on? I thought he looked. I don't think he looked very sharp, did he?
No, but he did have a couple of moments. He won a free kick. He had that shot. Other than that, nothing from him really. It just seemed by that point Russell Martin wanted to play like a 2-8 or something,
Yeah.
bringing on Mikey Moore and Danilo, and might have disrupted the flow of the team a little bit.
Yeah, I thought Brendan Rodgers was going for it in the earlier game, but Russell Martin had thrown everything at it to get the equaliser, and I thought it was going to transpire to Sturm Graz getting a third goal, and I think they nearly did. Gurcic, is it? Who nearly probably should have done better, but it was a good save by Jack Butland. And yeah, but I think encouragement for Rangers, but still disappointing, obviously, that they defeated on the night. But as I said, this format is very forgiving and still got 6 games left. So if you look at it, you win those 6 games, then you're in top 8. And I know it's not going to be that easy. And I know the chances of Celtic or Rangers winning all 6 games with the current states they're in is very unlikely. But I think they need to prioritise getting in the top 20, 24. Is it?
Yeah.
Top 24.
According to our good friend Ryan Niven, Rangers are still yet to play the best team in the world, SK Brann. So, that could be really tough. Rangers and Celtic, obviously, still both need to play Roma, who, I don't know if you saw, Ethan.
Yeah.
They missed 3 penalties tonight in their 1-0 defeat to Lille.
Yeah, I did see that. I'll just run through the scores. So maybe some teams that I run through the scores across the competition. So maybe some teams that Celtic, Rangers, and Aberdeen have got coming up. They can see how they perform. So it was Bologna 1, Freiburg 1, Brann 1, FC Utrecht 0, of course Celtic 0, Sporting Braga 2, FCSB 0, Young Boys of Bern 2. Fenerbahce 2, OGC Nice 1, Ludogorets Razgrad 0, Real Betis 2, Panathinaikos 1. The team who was actually favourite to finish bottom of the Europa League going into this match day, Go Ahead Eagles, of course, former club of Oliver Antman and current club of Jakob Brum. They won 2-1 in Greece against Panathinaikos. That Roma-Lille game, as you mentioned, Lille won 1-0 in the Italian capital, despite Dovbyk and co taking the penalty 3 times. Victoria Pilsen, who were down to 10 men, 3, 9 men, Malmo 0, Basel 2, I seen Basel 2, VfB Stuttgart 0, and I seen Albion.
If O had been on the team, it would have been 2-1 because he would have got 40 chances and scored the one of them.
Well, I did see a former Celtic striker scored in this game. Albion Ajeti opened the scoring. Celta Vigo 3, Pauk 1, Yakimakis with a goal for Pauk, actually.
Is he back in Europe, is he?
Yeah, he is.
He's too good. He's too good. He's 30 now. Wow.
Linking up with Greg Taylor and who's the other player?
Yakimakis is older than... Wait a minute. Am I tripping?
Yeah, there was a lot of former Celtic players scoring across the continent tonight.
I thought Yakimakis was a good bit younger than... Not a good bit younger, but at least a couple of years younger than Kyogo, but he's the same age.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe another player Celtic haven't replaced yet. Some people argue. FC Porto 2, Red Star Belgrade 1, Feyenoord 2.
Did you mention Yakimakis scoring against Carl Starfelt?
Oh no, I didn't mention that actually. Good thing that you pointed out there. Of course, another former Scottish Football League player. FC Porto 2, Red Star Belgrade 1, Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 2. John McGinn with another goal for Aston Villa, scored at the weekend. Genk 0, Ferencvaros 1, Lyon 2, Red Bull Salzburg 0, Maccabi Tel Aviv 1, Dinamo Zagreb featuring
Greg Taylor.
No, Scott McKenna. You're
Wow.
close. Me. And then
Did Greg Taylor play for Pout tonight,
no, he
actually?
didn't.
No.
Um,
He went to Greece to start, and he's not even starting.
yeah.
Shocking.
Although I think we might get onto it again, but I thought Marcelo Saracchi looked pretty solid again tonight when he came on. So
Yeah.
looks like a decent replacement.
Nottingham Forest 2, FC Midtjylland 3. He's going to be sacked so soon, isn't he? Again.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Hans Postecoglou at Nottingham Forest.
Well, I thought of a little thing as well. Ange Postecoglou is 100% guaranteed going to be the West Ham manager at one point.
You think?
Because, yeah, just listen to my reasoning. Nuno was at Spurs.
I've got it. Yeah.
And then he was at Forest, and now he's at West Ham. Postecoglou's just following in Nuno's footsteps. So, but would you take the reverse when Brendan Rodgers leaves?
So what would that be? Nuno at Celtic?
Celtic, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a good manager. Yeah, I would probably take him, but I think he'll still be in a job at West Ham. Anyway, the final game was Sturm Graz 2, Rangers 1, of course we mentioned. Then going into the Conference League, which a lot of these teams maybe you aren't aware of. Dynamo Kiev 0, Crystal Palace 2, FC Noah 1, Rijeka 0, Jagiellonia Bialystok 1, Hamrun Spartans 0, QPS 1, Drita 1, Lausanne Sport 3, Breidablik 0, Lech Poznan 4, Rapid Vienna 1, featuring a goal and an assist from who?
Luis Palma.
Yes.
Didn't he get? Hasn't he got a 2-game suspension in Poland for breaking an opponent's leg or something?
Yeah. Well, I think he got a 2-game suspension for his red card, but he broke someone's leg in the process, which obviously you don't like to see. Wishing a speedy recovery to.
And Isaac got on the score sheet as well.
Yeah. Missing a penalty also. And someone who came off the bench for Rapid Vienna at half-time, Marco Tilio. So the battle of the ex-Celtic wingers. Ammonia Nicosia 0, Mainz 1, Rayo Vallecano 2, Kiev Skendija 0, Zrinski Mostar 5, Lincoln Red-Ups 0, Aberdeen 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 3, AEK Larnaca 4, AZ Alkmaar 0, the Europa Conference League Merchants Fiorentina 2, Sigma Olomouc 0, Lega Warsaw 0, Samranspor 1, NK Celje 3, AEK Athens 1, and James Penrice came off the bench for AEK Athens. Rakow Chestova 2, Universiteti Craiova 0, Shelburne 0, Jimmy Tillins, no, not his former team, BK Hacken. It was Elfsborg Jimmy Tillin came from, wasn't it?
Yeah, you just confused the blue and yellow, it's fine.
Yeah. Slovan Bratislava 1, Strasbourg 2, and finally Sparta Prague 4, Shamrock Rovers 1. So a lot of football.
Was it not Panathinaikos?
What? All right. Okay. Very funny. Very funny. Very funny.
Scores on the doors for this evening's European competition from our very own Ethan Barlow. Let's go back to the Celtic game. You mentioned him a moment ago, Marcelo Saracchi, who I also thought was pretty good.
Yeah, he was, and he has been good. He was good at the weekend. Might have been man of the match, possibly, although you probably would have given it to a Hibs player, considering the result. And I don't even know where he was playing tonight, because it looked like he was going to play left wing back, but by the end of it, he was popping up next to Kelechi and Acho, and everywhere. Obviously, it was a strange thing for Brendan Rodgers to move to a back 3/5.
Both managers had interesting formations. I swear at one point, Yusuf Chermiti won the ball down the Rangers 18-yard box and pinged it into Derek Cornelius in the midfield. So I don't know what was going on there, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that two managers who really wanted a result, obviously, and were trying anything to get that. And yeah, Marcel Saracchi was good. He linked up play well. He linked with Sebastian Tenecte well as also. And yeah, I think he's definitely offering competition to Kieran Tierney for that left back. So Colby Donovan, who made way for him at half time, didn't have his best night, and I can see why Brendan Rodgers took him off at half time. He actually tried a shot. I don't know if you've seen from just inside the Braga half. I don't know if he was trying to
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
recreate Ricardo Horta's goal, but yeah,
it seems like he was over eager and to try and make an impression, which is understandable when you're a young man, a fan of the club coming through, and he's been given such an important role. Maybe he felt like he needed to, prove something to, try and drag them back at himself. Obviously, he overstepped a little bit and he substituted for it, but hopefully he doesn't take that to heart because he's been excellent so far, and I can't wait to see more of him.
Yeah, exactly that. And I was just going to say about Ricardo Horta. I think, yeah, he was one player we looked at as a sort of danger man for Braga. He's obviously been there for a while now. He played against Rangers a few times, scored over 100 goals for them, but I doubt he's scored many like that or from that distance. And it begs the question: do you think Kasper Schmeichel is coming to the end of not just his career, but his sort of ability to maybe play at the top level? Because I think since that injury last season, he's been a shadow of the player he was when he first came to Celtic. And at the start of last season, he was probably the best all-round goalkeeper that I'd ever seen play for Celtic. But since that injury, he's just not been the same. You think of the mistake he made in the cup final, and on the whole, this season he's been a little bit shaky. His passing's just not been the same. Gave the ball away so many times tonight, and he done that thing that he done last week in Belgrade where he passed the ball into an area of the pitch. It was near to Benjamin Negrin. I think it was Benjamin Negrin last week as well, and he had a go at Negrin despite him passing the ball pretty much straight to the Braga player, and it did invite pressure on Celtic a few times. And yeah, it just wasn't his night at all. And maybe, do you think Vuljami Simansalo deserves the chance to come back into the starting 11?
It's a tough one because I don't know, Simansalo's decent, but do you think he's ready to sort of take that shot for the time being? Schmeichel as well. I've been on you about this for a while. I think he's well dodgy at passing out to the back, and tonight he misjudged the shot. Joe Hart, who was trying to make excuses for him in the goalkeepers union, as they call it, but the ball dips when he's trying to tip it over, whereas he should just be trying to just sort of beat it away, and he doesn't get a strong enough hand on it, and it goes in. And he's been dodgy at the back, blaming others. Like you said. So it's difficult. It feels like I know I keep bringing it back to Rangers, but this is the only kind of comparison. You remember that season where Alan McGregor mistakes started creeping into his game?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't really want to, condemn him because top class goalkeeper. But yeah, because he did still that season as well. That was the season Rangers got to the final, I think, and he still pulled off some miraculous saves in the competition. He, especially, I remember one in the group stage against Sparta Prague, that ridiculous double save from close range. And I'm sure Schmeichel can still pull off some good stops as well, and show his quality. But I think once the cracks start to show, you should act. But if Simansalo comes in and he's rubbish, maybe a break from the team is what Schmeichel needs as well. Nearly 40 he is now, I think. So, it is a tough one.
Yeah, and you look at what happened with Jack Butland even last season, it just wasn't going right for him. And I know he's obviously earlier in his career, but goalkeeper is a tricky position, because if you make a change there, then it's probably a more obvious statement to the player than any other position on the pitch. I think it would be fair to say that you're not performing well enough, and Jack Butland wasn't last season.
It's the only position on the pitch where if you make a mistake, it's almost a guaranteed goal.
Yeah, exactly. And Liam Kelly came in and done really well for Rangers last season at points, and made some big saves. The penalties come to mind. But then again, Jack Butland started this season and been one of Rangers' best players. I know we can maybe discuss over maybe he should have done better on the first goal tonight, but sometimes just a little bit of a rest can do the world of good. But as we say, Kasper Schmeichel is coming to that age where he is, and in his last few years of football, there's no getting away for that. And I think Voljami Sinisalo is the long-term answer possibly at Celtic, because when we've seen him, I don't think he's as good a shot stopper as Kasper Schmeichel, but it's going to be difficult to grow a better goalkeeper than Kasper Schmeichel.
Sinisalo's sort of, how old is Sinisalo? Like 21 or something?
I think he might be a little bit older than that, but he's early 20s anyway. Let me just
So around this stage in his career, Schmeichel was at the likes of Falkirk and Notts County and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
23, Sinisalo was.
Which is insane. That's basically 18 for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, he's got plenty of time, and maybe he'll be one for the future of Celtic. Maybe getting him an early sort of run in the team, giving Schmeichel a break could be good for them in the long run. But yeah, some big games in Europe tonight. Didn't go well for any team, and they will need to go into their games at the weekend, look to bounce back. Celtic taking on Motherwell, Rangers going away to Falkirk, and Aberdeen will be playing Dundee at home. So opportunities for all three teams, I'd say, to bounce back and get a victory. I'm not sure if the Scottish Football Zone will be on tomorrow. I'm not 100%. We haven't organised that yet. But, Ethan, do you think it's crucial going into the international break that all three teams win?
Yeah, it is. And Celtic, I think, have only won 3 of the last 9 games. So although they're in a good position in the league, I know they're not top, they're in a good position, then they can, it's massive they get a win to send the fans away at least somewhat happy before the international break. Of course, any game, it feels like at this point, could be Russell Martin's last. So a win for him is really important, and it would streak together 3 positive-ish performances and results in domestic competition. And for Aberdeen, of course, we know the state they're in at the bottom of the league with no wins and no goals scored. So, yeah, crucial day, in fact, for all 3 teams on Sunday, and it'll be interesting to see how they get on. I am going to predict that all 3 of the teams will win, actually. So there we go, there's my prediction.
Hopefully. I'm not as confident as you. But anyway, I think that'll do it for tonight's stream. Thank you to everyone who tuned in to listen to me and Ethan ramble on about tonight's matches. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Scottish Football Zone wherever you're watching from: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, whatever platform. We really appreciate you coming and watching us. And if you've enjoyed it, please show your support. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.